Hello, everyone. It's Sam, and here with another weekly forecast for you. Looking forward to putting the worries of Sunday behind us as we move into the Mabon week, the Equinox week, as the sun moves into Libra, getting lots of activity happening towards the weekend, especially as we have Mercury, Venus being very active at the same time. So let's go ahead. As always, I've put the time-stamped Eastern Standard Time aspects in the description below for you to look at and to kind of peruse, and that's what we're going to be going after. And let's go ahead and we'll screen share the chart. As always, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more daily summarized horoscopes. Okay. Now, as we look at Monday, Monday is very much a cleanup day. It's very grounded to complement the chaos that was Sunday with our rehash of Mercury Jupiter opposition and then Cancer squaring that. That was a rough day. But we had the sun trining Pluto overnight. Then the moon in Cancer makes a trine to the south node first thing in the morning, creating purging, creating release, creating that watery outpour, which is very much needed at this point. The moon will also make a sextile to Venus and will make a sextile to Uranus, helping us to lay the foundation, but also kind of weed and pull up any last bits of chaos that need to be resorted. Maybe even have a little bit of fun, get that sweet tooth satisfied on Monday night, as Uranus tends to overindulge and create some therapeutic upset when sextiled. Tuesday is one of our busiest days of the week. So as we look at Tuesday, let me just flip our wheel. So moving forward into Tuesday. So overnight on Tuesday at 12:45 a.m. Eastern Standard, Venus will trine Uranus. So Venus in Virgo, who's all about order and managing, is going to make a trine or a helpful aspect to Uranus and Taurus, who's retrograde, and really creating this kind of upstarting, uprooting energy, whereas Venus in Virgo wants to keep everything on the straight and narrow and streamlined. So there's going to be this kind of meeting in the middle of chaos and order, which I like on Tuesday, to kind of resettle everything, package it, get everything to a workable middle ground is a good way to think about it, just in time for things to change. Just in time for things to change. Also, overnight on Tuesday, we rest very well. The moon in Cancer making a trine to Neptune. We love strong trines to Neptune. However, if you are in like UK time, that 5 hours ahead, that's going to mean that's going to start at 9:24 a.m. for you, which is going to create a very sleepy morning. So the farther east you are, the more that moon in Cancer is going to trine Neptune and give you a really nice sleep. The more west you are in the world, the earlier you start in the day, the more that Neptune is really going to create a very sleepy in between kind of Alice in Wonderland morning where you're not really sure if you're awake or dreaming. As the morning progresses, we have a bunch of little aspects like the moon getting really nostalgic, opposing Pluto, the moon making, oh, I need to fix that, not a sextile to Pluto, in opposition to Pluto, and then a sextile to something else. That is a glitch, and I will fix that. But then as we move into the evening, the moon moves into Leo. And this is when we get away from that water energy of Cancer and into the fire energy of Leo, which we're going to start off strong on Wednesday and start to replace that like deep, restful, healing, watery energy with the intensity of that fire. So the moon starts to get everything boiled up and everything riled up as we get into that fixed fire of the lion, and then makes a sextile to Mercury, kind of stimulating the mind, stimulating the tongue, stimulating words and intellectual exchange. Now, it's really interesting, some of the discourse that happened over last week as we look at sleep specifically and how sleep is affected by the planets. And if The watery aspects, which are naturally very good for sleep, do not rub you the right way. It'll be really interesting Tuesday night versus Wednesday night, because Wednesday night we have a fire trine. The moon in Leo will make a trine to Jupiter at 1:30 a.m. in the morning, Eastern Standard. That's going to be a very combustive, very heated aspect. And if that helps with your sleep, then we know that fire aspects are good for your sleep versus water aspects are good for your sleep. And that may depend on your unique astrology. If you have more fire signs in your chart, you're going to be used to that energy versus somebody like me, a triple water sign, who enjoys the watery aspects, which are naturally slower, naturally more restful and therapeutic. But if that is not your vibe and you prefer to be hyperstimulated and warmed and excited, and that is where you find rest and relaxation and ease, then notice that, right? But unfortunately, that heat does start to burn us out quite a bit as we move into Wednesday night. So Wednesday night, the moon will square the nodes. Oops, I forgot to switch the chart. There we go. So there's that moon in Leo, and that moon in Leo will be making a very strong square to the nodes, the North Node and South Node in Taurus and Scorpio, respectively. And that's going to put the heart between the past and the present and really create some of that push and pull, that tug of war between where we've been and where we're going. And that heat will no longer be able to execute properly and may lead to some frustration on Wednesday night. Okay. Thursday is where we get into a bunch of change. So let's go ahead and we'll pull up Thursday's chart. And as you can sort of see at the top of the chart, we have the sun at 29 degrees and Mercury at 0 degrees, just waiting for that transition, just waiting for that conjunction. So over the next few days, we're going to get to that. So as we move into Thursday, as we move into that transition, we start to see Thursday cropping up with the moon making a really benign sextile to Mars overnight, but still a little bit more agitated rather than restful. And then the morning of Thursday is going to be really difficult. It's one of our more difficult pockets during the week. So the moon will make a square to Uranus at 5:36 a.m. Eastern, and then an opposition to Saturn at 7:07 a.m. Eastern. Whatever is happening Thursday morning for you, really take it with a grain of salt. There's going to be a lot of pressure around that time energetically. So greet it with ease. And especially because Leo is here, greet it with fun, greet it with humor, greet it with levity, greet it with the radiance and the joy of that Leo energy, right? Step into your lion hat, put on a silly outfit, maybe something that makes you feel empowered, right? And then move forward from that space. As we move into Thursday evening, this is where we get our first dose of transition. Sorry, Virgos, but your month is up, and welcome to Libra month. So the sun moving into Libra, which is also known as Mabon, or the autumnal equinox, where we have equal distance between night and daytime. The sun moving into Libra pulls the ego into a sense of balance, into that need to cultivate what is being overspent, what is being indulged, to pull in the reins, something that Virgo was already doing, that Libra really starts to measure and refine. Yeah. So that's going to be really pleasant. But the drama of that change starts to happen on Friday. And this is when Mercury gets involved, and Venus to some degree, but we'll talk about her in a minute. So as we move into Friday and you look at some of those transits, first thing is that overnight on Friday at 2:47 a.m. Eastern, the sun conjoins retrograde Mercury in Libra. So what happens is Mercury is about to transition back into Virgo and will transition back into Virgo in the early morning. But before that happens, because the sun moved into Libra before, they cross paths in Libra and not in Virgo. So the cazimi, the conjunction of Mercury and the sun, happens in Libra. This is the middle point of our Mercury retrograde cycle. This is when we start to receive the aha moments of, oh, that's what these lessons are teaching me. Because when Mercury moves into the heart of the sun, the issue is backlit. and we start to get a lot of contour and texture, and we start to see a lot of things that were behind the sun brightened and moved into the spotlight. So this is where we get a lot of exposure, and it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of the problems that you've been chewing on for the past couple weeks during the retrograde start to come forward center stage overnight on Friday. So waking up to a lot of fun emails Friday morning will probably be in the cards. And then as we move into the rest of the morning, overnight, we also have the moon moving into Virgo at 3:53, and then at 8:05, Mercury moving into Virgo. So right after that conjunction, Mercury moves back into the exaltation of their favorite sign. Mercury not only rules Virgo, but is the most at home in Virgo. And this should make the Mercury retrograde symptoms feel a little bit less hand wiggle, just a little bit, just a little bit. But this indicates that we are on the back end of our Mercury retrograde cycle, and we've already been here before. And this is a really good point to start wrapping up and connecting the dots between a lot of the lessons that were being kind of pulled into this go around. So Friday is quite dramatic, lots of change, lots of turning over of new chapters from Thursday into Friday. Really give people the benefit of the doubt. Like if people start to come forward or if they start to apologize, like know that the planet shifting has triggered something in them and they've started to make those changes and realizations inside of themselves. I think it's a really important thing to acknowledge that the stars are always changing and therefore we should always be open to change. And this is part of the divine dance. Okay, moving into Saturday. As we look at Saturday, first things first, we have Venus taking the stage. So Venus at 4:44, what a lovely number. AM, Venus will oppose Neptune. So our planet of love and relationships, who's just trying to make things orderly, is going to oppose Neptune and start to taste some of that chaos, some of that blurred boundaries, some of the things that should be easy but are not. And Neptune will start to exert that mutable influence over Venus and Virgo to soften the edges, to really make sure that we are not holding on to anything from our previous cycles. So that idea of things changing, Virgo, although it is mutable Earth, it does not like things being corrected without its understanding. Virgo likes to get things right the first time, and looking back at things that were measured twice and cut once, Virgo's like, I don't understand how that could be wrong. I studied for that test. I aced it. And now you're telling me that I was wrong all along. Like that type of softness needs to be like, hey, humility. And that's important. As we move into Saturday, we get a little bit of motivation. The moon makes a trine to the North Node in Taurus, creating a little bit of kind of future directional vision. And we start to see into what the path ahead is going to give us. The afternoon does provide a square between the moon and Mars, little bit of friction, little bit of heat. People want to be organized like Virgo or initiatory and spread like Mars and Gemini. Mars and Gemini will likely want to consider several different options, but not really settle on a plan. And the moon in Virgo will point this out and it will create conflict between the two. But as the moon in Virgo makes trine to Uranus, we remember that everything is better with a little bit of unpredictability. So make the unlikely choice and you'll have an unlikely experience. And sometimes that is medicine in and of itself. And the rest of the day, pretty easy on Saturday. Sunday, we also get into a little bit of astro activity. As you can see at the top of the chart as well, we have the moon about to switch signs into Libra, which means it will not only move into Libra, but because the sun just moved there, we will have our new moon in Libra. This new moon in Libra is going to be quite the cliffhanger, which we'll be talking about in a second. So on Sunday, we have overnight the moon opposing Neptune, even though it is an opposition, and opposition to Neptune overnight is pretty nice. The moon conjoining Venus and Virgo, kind of mending all of that friction, mending and echoing what Venus was trying to accomplish, and settling all of that instability. The moon will also make a trine to Pluto, echoing the past first thing in the morning, and then will conjoin Mercury at 8:49 a.m. So this is going to be a really nice day to just understand, again, like the theme of the earlier week, like understand what has been said, what has been thought, what has been exchanged, and to really process and digest that fully. Virgo, as the ruler of the small intestines and liver, is all about digestion. And so as Virgo gets hyper triggered by all of these transits, it's very much about assimilating and integrating these processes and changes. As the moon moves into Libra at 12:43 p.m., we then start to focus even more on this idea of balance and harmony, of homeostasis, the never-ending quest for things to be okay and fair. And then we have the new moon in Libra at 5:54 p.m., which will be another really great opportunity to reevaluate what balance looks like for you in your life. Now, this is a cliffhanger for several reasons. One, we have the new moon about to oppose Jupiter. So, last week on Sunday, we had Mercury reopposing Jupiter in Aries from Libra, and now the new moon will be very close to that 3-degree opposition to Jupiter as well. So over Monday, we're going to have the sun and the moon swinging through to oppose Jupiter yet again. And both Venus and Mercury will be making a trine to Pluto over the next day or so, creating more echoing of the past, bringing up old baggage, skeletons in the closet, blah, blah, blah. So quite the start to our next week. But at the same time, we're going to have a cliffhanger on Sunday and not see those full aspects until the following week. So, new moon, new you. I like it. Lots of wrapping up and tidying up of edges and putting on of bows and turning of chapters this week amidst all of the other extraneous astro weather. So that is the plan, Stan. If you have any questions or if you'd like to tell me how your week is going, feel free to drop a comment below. And as always, may the stars be ever in your favor.